What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to talk about one of the most brutal heavyweight championship contests in boxing history. Took place July 4th, 1919 in Toledo, Ohio. Between the MANNASA MULLER, Jack Dempsey, and Jess Willard, who was the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, Jess Willard was from Kansas, and Jack Dempsey was from Colorado. And Jack Dempsey was born June 24th, 1895. His name was William Harrison. He died May 31st, 1983. Suffered a heart attack. Had a fighting career record of 84 total bouts, 62 wins, 6 losses, 8 draws, 6 no contests, and over 51 knockouts. He was introduced into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990. Now, Jack Dempsey was one of 11 children who had an older brother that would teach him to bob and weave. Because Jack Dempsey loved to street fight. He always found himself in barroom brawls. Some say he had well over 100 street fights. Wouldn't surprise me with Jack Dempsey. Now, out of the 51 knockouts that's recorded on Jack Dempsey's record, he would have over 25 knockouts in the very first round. You see, he would travel on boxcars, looking for food and looking for fights. Dempsey would be managed by Jack Doc Kearns, and he fought fighters such as Fireman Jim Flynn. Jack Dempsey would be stopped in the very first round. Now, there's controversy that his older brother would throw in a towel before the count of 10. But Jack Dempsey was stopped in the first round by Fireman Jim Flynn. Jim Flynn was a pretty decent fighter. He was in the ring with Sam Langford on 3 separate occasions. In fact, he was in the ring with everyone. Dempsey would also be in the ring with Fred Fulton, battling Levinsky. Levinsky would wind up becoming a light heavyweight champion. Ed Gunboat Smith. On July 4th, 1919, Dempsey would face a 37-year-old Jess Willard. Jess Willard became heavyweight champion in 1915 in a 26th round when he allegedly stopped Jack Johnson. This fight was in Havana, Cuba. Now, as I go through this fight with you between Jack Dempsey and Jess Willard, you will discover some of the most horrific injuries known in boxing. You see, Jack Dempsey would stalk you as he would stalk the 6'6", 245-pound giant in Jess Willard. Jack Dempsey was 23 years old, stood 6 foot 1 inch, and had 187 pounds of pretty much all muscle on that frame. Willard was a 6-5 underdog. And the forecast was over 110 degrees in temperature. Now, the most expensive seats at ringside was $60. You can get them at $50 as well. Those all sold out. And what was amazing about Jack Dempsey? 1920, he'd be in the ring with Bill Brennan. He faced Tommy Gibbons It would be one of the most boring heavyweight championship contests, 15 rounds, that Shelby Montana would ever witness, and for that they would be bankrupt. Dempsey would face Billy Misk and George Carpentier. Fought Carpentier in 1921. It was the first $1 Million Gate. 1923 was a sensational year. Fight between Dempsey and Louis Angel Firpo. Both men were down several times. Dempsey even went out of the ring. Dempsey would have some wars. He would lose his heavyweight championship contest, 1926, Philadelphia, against Gene Tunney, who's a former AEF and America's light heavyweight champion. Dempsey would get a rematch with Gene Tunney, 1927, Soldiers Field, famous long count. But as for the match with Jess Willard, when that bell rang, Jack Dempsey would open up with a barrage of punches after circling Willard for about 30 seconds. Catch him with a left hook. Instantaneously, Jess Willard's jaw cracked in front of a staggering audience. 19,650 screaming spectators. Now, these two men wore 5-ounce gloves. Over 200 media and journalists in the audience. You had Fox editors and Police Gazette. Even the New York Times was at ringside. You see, it took 300 carpenters to build that stadium. Over 2 million feet of lumber was required. Final gate was $452,224 American dollars. Dempsey was paid $27,500. Willard, $100,000. Amazing. The promoters were Tex Rickard and Frank Flamley. They earned $82,732. Now remember, we're talking 1919. That's astonishing. Now the government tax was $41,789.94. Net gate, $410,732.16. The fight expenses total $307. This fight was located on Bayview Park Arena, Toledo, Ohio. It's on the shores of Maumee Bay. The fight publicity was $17,500. Now the officials for that fight: Ali Picord was a referee out of Toledo. He was chosen by Major A. Drexel, Biddle chairman of the Navy's Civilian Board of Boxing Control. Tex Rickard and Biddle were chosen as judges. And Jack Skelly of Yonkers, New York, was selected as an alternate referee. Timekeeper was Warren Barher. He was out of New York. Jess Willard's seconds was Sergeant Walter Montague, Jack Hippie, and Ray Archer. Jack Dempsey's seconds was Jack Kearns. Big Bill Tate was Jack Dempsey's sparring partner. Joe Chip, who's the brother. Middleweight champion, George Chip. And Todd Boken. Dempsey weighed 187 pounds for that fight. Jess Willard, 245 pounds. Now, Jess Willard had once punched a fighter by the name of Jack Bouillon. Snapped a piece of his jawbone that went through his skull, and it pierced his brain. Young Bull had died in the ring. 9th round, 1913. Now, Jess Willard would be charged for manslaughter. He'd win his case in court, and 2 years later, he would become the heavyweight champion of the world by stopping Jack Johnson in the 26th round. Now, that's a different conversation and a different video as whether or not that was an official knockout. But be that it may, Jess Willard was a heavyweight champion of the world. Both men would enter the ring, would walk to the center of the ring. They would take photos and get instructions from the referee. Promoter Tex Rickard would walk around holding the World Heavyweight Championship belt. It was in a glass frame, and all the reporters would take pictures from various angles. The opening bell, both men stood around looking confused for the first 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Once the bell was repaired, Dempsey became very aggressive and went on to attack Jess Willard after 30 seconds of feeling each other out. And after a series of two-fisted head and body attacks, Willard would go down with a ferocious left hook. He would suffer a cracked jaw and would break after the next punch. Second round, Jess' right eye socket had broke and tore and scarred internally. You see, after the third round, a half a dozen of teeth would be removed from the skull of Jess Willard. 3 ribs would be broken. Flesh of torn, flappy skin, and lips shaking like jello when you put a bowl down on the table, like red custard. Now, Willard, who was a 5-4 favorite, earlier 6-5 favorite, he went to Doc Kearns and requested full immunity in case there would be a death of Jack Dempsey. Kind of reminds me of Thomas Hearns stating that it would be a third round knockout on behalf of Marvin Hagler. Well, it was a third round knockout. It turned out to be Thomas Hearns. And in this case, Jess Willard, who had a premonition that Jack Dempsey would be killed, it would reverse on him, although he didn't die, but he came close to it. He was in the hospital for several weeks. Both fighters wore 5-ounce gloves. Timekeeper was William Warren Barrett. Now he pulled the stopwatch. 4 minutes and 9 seconds in the afternoon. The bell didn't ring. 5,000 of 40,000 $10 ticket seats were sold. That was a disappointment. $50 and $60 seats were sold. And Willard says, as he sat in the corner, bewildered, I have $100,000 and a farm in Kansas. You see, that was a day when boxing was very savage. And when you make comparison of modern fighters, unless they were willing to go through what these men went through, there's two separate conversations. I want you to listen to a blow-by-blow announce of that fight and get the feeling of what it was like between these two men. Fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship bout. On the night of July 4th, 1919.
The timekeeper jerked his bell cord. Somehow it jammed, and Willard doesn't hear the faint sound over the excited yelling. He pauses, looks around, puzzled, doubtful. Say, what's going on around there anyhow? Where's the bell? There it is. So the big fight begins, and Big Jess moves easily into action. The mahogany-hued Dempsey circles, moving in and out with cat-footed quickness. The champion wants to keep Jack at long range with his poking left jab, but Dempsey won't let him do it. He's never still for an instant, bobbing and weaving around. It looks like a test of speed against power, and Willard has no chance to get set against Dempsey's speed. At such a pace, there's a lot of missing and a lot of clinching. It's bound to be that way, but it's only a warm-up so far. Each is trying to figure out the other's defense, to open him up, nail him with a punch. The challenger crowd keeps on crowding. The instant he's in the open, he moves back again. His left whips in tirelessly and often. The blows miss or graze Willard. Dempsey hasn't the range yet. Jess holds whenever he can, but that's Jack's meat. Nobody's strong enough to tie him up for long. Trying to hit him is like trying to hit a sunbeam that moves away. Dempsey's hands are in motion all the time. Willard tries to block with gloves and forearms and elbows, but he's compelled constantly to retreat. What else can he do against the endlessly moving little man? When you're going away, you can't do much damage yourself. A champion is supposed to make the fight, but try as he will, it's far beyond Big Jess. And he hasn't been hurt yet. For all the charging, for all the blows, the tall Pine has suffered no injury. He's clever, knows how to handle himself, and in spite of his great size, he moves around quickly and gracefully. No, the little man won't get him. They maneuver around the center ring. Now watch. There's that big left, and Willard's down. Up, sure he's up. Dempsey hurt him along the rope, beating away with both hands. There's that pass again, and Willard's on the floor for the second time. The champion's dazed, groggy, but he's game. He's up again. The fist drumming on him. And down he goes. Falls along the floor like a wounded animal, crouching with his back half turned as he arrives. The Mauler overwhelms him with hysterical burst of fury that sends him to the floor for the fourth time. Dempsey stands over the stricken man, his fist cracked. The instant Willard leaves her off the floor, Jack at him again. Jess is wide open. He has absolutely no defense. And he hits the deck again. Courage, just plain courage, instinct, whatever it is, wins him, bind and staggering up to his feet. Willard reels around the ring, powerless, bumping right and left into him. Clear across the opposite corner, and there he's taken it again. How can the man stand it? There he falls, his gloved hand feeling for the rope, trying to hold himself up. Then, painfully, he drags his racked body to a half-erect position. But a right smashes into his side. Other rights crash to the head, and Willard collapses into a sitting position, dazed and helpless, after the most murderous beating a man ever took in the ring. And there's the bell. But no one hears it. Dempsey turns away. He seems doubtful, puzzled. Turns and others rush jubilantly into the rope square. It's all over. The quickest heavyweight knockout on record. hurries out of the ring to avoid the crowd. But the timekeeper and referee Ollie Picord are yelling that it's not over. The bell had sounded before Big Jess was counted out. Where is the challenger anyway? Willard's chief second, Walter Monahan, and the other handlers have leaped into the ring to bring their man too. The champion seems helpless, but technically the fight is still on. Buck turns, rushes the rope. Jack, hey Dempsey, come back, come back. The bell sounds again. Amazingly enough, Willard rises for the second round. Beaten as no man ever has been, he advances into Dempsey's raging fist. He jabs as though any jab could keep that tiger away from him. With all his wearied, broken body, Jess does his best to keep going. Why? It's no use, he hasn't a chance, but there's the tradition of all champions behind him. He has to fight even when he has nothing left to fight with. Jess may not have been a great champion, but no braver man ever laced on a pair of gloves. If he quit under punishment, no one would blame him. It's courage, nothing but magnificent courage that's holding him on his feet. No matter what he does, he can't get away from that tiger who's stalking him. His arms and legs are heavy with exhaustion. Salt sweat burns the gashes Dempsey's fist still open. When Jack bores in and hits him, drives him around the ring, he can't muster enough strength for a dangerous punch in return. Ticking by faster and faster. There isn't much time left in the round. If he's to get his KO before the bell rings, he'll have to do it in a hurry. But Willard's only thought is to protect himself, and weak and tired as he is, it's no cinch to get him set for the finishing punch, even when he's driven helplessly back against the rope. He wobbles about and flinches, does his best to save himself from his relentless foe. There are only a few seconds remaining now. No chance for a finishing blow. It's too late. Muller spins the champion around out there in the center of the ring. And there's the bell, and referee Picord sends his men to the corner. Round 3, and at the start of the third, there's no easing up in Dempsey's attack. His left hook still thunders. In the clinches, Willard is no longer strong enough to make even a pretense of blocking the uppercuts that shake and hurt him. Still, the clinches are the only sanctuary left him. Out in mid-ring, he's helpless. He's lost all coordination between brain and hand. His efforts are pitiful. He was big and good-looking and smiling when he came into the ring. Now he's a lurching, tottering wreck of a man. Dempsey beats at him, in the body, shifting his attack for a moment from that pitiful face. A new champion's being born here, born in the torrid heat among the yells of 70,000 spectators, born in blood and effort and pain. It's bad for Willard, taking the hammer blows of the ring's greatest puncher, but it's no picnic for the man who's winning either. His lungs strain, his heart beats in his throat, his arms are like lead, but still he carries on that deadly attack. He pours leather at the giant who should have gone down long ago, who would have gone down, but for the heart of a lion and the endurance of a buffalo. Even the spectators are beginning to flinch at the sight. This is no fight, it's a slaughter, a massacre. Big Jess has no more chance than a babe in arms. Look at the heavyweight champion of the world. His face is pounded almost to a pulp. His tired, dazed eyes peer through a mask of blood. It's dripped down over his body, stained his trunk, spotted his legs. Even Dempsey smeared with the sanguinary fluid. Each time the Muller goes into the clinch, he gets more of it. Why doesn't the referee stop it? Why? But Ollie Picord comes from the old school. There's only one way for a champion to finish, they say, and that's on his back. Bloody, half-blinded Willard won't go down, not even when the tiring Dempsey's blows stagger and hurt him more and more. And again the seconds are running out. The round's nearly over. And the impossible has happened again. Big Jess has lasted through this another murderous round with this roaring Dempsey. Coming up for round 4, but Willard can't come out for the 4th round. His nose and cheekbone are fractured, ribs broken, half a dozen teeth knocked out, and he's hardly strength enough to rise and shake hands with his conqueror. In this most unusual of fights, an idol has been born. Dempsey the Mauler. Unusual, every second of it. The bell failed to sound clearly at the start. The champion was knocked down 7 times in the 1st round. The challenger left the ring and had to be called back. Willard lost his title while sitting in his corner. Every minute is crammed with drama, as the ring is now with yelling, excited men. Dempsey's in everyone's mind and heart. Dempsey the killer, Dempsey the champion. They'll see him in action for 8 flaming years to come.
You can take the moon, gather up the stars and the robins that sing merrily. Put them in a box, tie with a ribbon, throw them in the deep blue sea. You can take the flowers
Now, the thing in this fight, it was perhaps one of the most brutal heavyweight championship fights known to man. And it's suspect that Jack Dempsey had plaster of Paris in his 5-ounce gloves. Because Jack Doc Kearns had bet $100,000. Well, it said $10,000. But it was a total of $100,000 that Jack Dempsey would knock out Jess Willard in the first round. And it would have been $10,000 of Jack Dempsey's purse. So he wanted to do anything he could have done to make that happen. But Jess Willard was just too tough. And he didn't go out in the first round. But I got to salute these two men. Jack Dempsey and Jess Willard. One of the greatest heavyweight championship matches in boxing history. Went 3 rounds. Willard couldn't answer the 4th round bell. Although he wanted to continue. But he had no vision in his right eye. 3 broken ribs. Crushed brain. Half a dozen teeth knocked out. Broken jaw. 1 broken hand. One of the most savage beatings a man has ever taken. So thanks for joining me and rewatching this fight. Jack Dempsey, Jess Willard, July 4th, 1919. Mike Tyson had admired Jack Dempsey so much that the right hand of Jack Dempsey was known as Iron Mike for the loaded plaster of Paris that was perceived to have been in his glove. So Iron Mike Tyson was born in respect to Jack Dempsey. Kid Blackie, the MANNASA MULLER. Thanks for hanging there with me. Right here on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute.